on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates.
You're tuned in to Atlantic Television Network, and the program is Atn Politics. I am your host, Raymond Ken Mbata, and my guest today is a political analyst. He is a colossus insofar as the political school of thought is concerned. I'm talking of no other than Pat Obiene. It's a pleasure, sir.
Thank you for having me, Ray.
It's a pleasure coming here.
Thank you. Good evening to our viewers.
Yes. All right, without taking any much time, let's head on to the first story for dissection today. All Progressive Congress Governorship Campaign Council in the September 21st poll in Edo State has called on the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency to subject leading candidates to compulsory drug tests to ascertain their level of sanity. In a statement made available by the Council's Director of Media, Kasim Afebua, on Wednesday in Benin, the state capital, he urged the NDLEA to zero in on all the frontline candidates of the major political parties with a view to ascertaining their sanity. Afebua said that compulsory tests would save Edo people of future embarrassments that may arise, adding that voters can not be deceived again. Sir.
Yes, please.
Yes, I know that Edo State is a very, very peculiar state. I know that Edo politics is very, very dynamic. I know that Edo people are very, very enlightened. But the APC candidate is hinging on this aspect of calling in the NDLEA for compulsory drug tests for all frontline candidates in the coming Guba elections. Is he on the right track, or is he is he backing up a wrong tree?
The call, does it include himself?
Definitely has to include himself.
Well, if you ask me, they're all political strategy to outsmart contending interests.
Okay.
Ordinarily, they needed not to wait till the electioneering period, as long as the very sour experience Nigerians get from the crop of leaders. Importantly, too, it shouldn't be limited to Edo State. This is not the first time this call has been made in our political experience in Nigeria. Yeah. I think a couple of years ago, under the 8th Assembly or so, similar calls were made. But of course, like the legal principle of he who goes to equity goes to untainted hands.
Exactly.
They wouldn't let that fly.
Wow.
Ordinarily, that would have taken the front stage. From the time that call was made nationwide, actually account for the very abnormal, very unspeakable characteristics public officers display, ranging from whether it be governor, ministers, commissioners, lawmakers, what have you, regardless their supposed educational background. So you find actions, you've seen attitudes, you know, that's actually...
So I know that, talking of Boris Yeltsin of New Russia,
okay,
after the USSR period, yes. I knew that he had a certain addiction with vodka, and it was not hidden. It was in the open, and it did hamper some of his locomotive tendencies, and he was openly drunk most of the times. Have we had any issues? I mean, this is alcohol, but he is talking about drugs.
Yes.
Have we had any issue that has been very embarrassing for any of our politicians that has to do with drug usage that is of note, sir?
No, if they have evidence abound, you know, without, with due respect to some of the characters in public space. Don't forget, even our almighty President Tinubu, there has been baggages around him, accusations, conduct of being involved in drug activities, shipments, and
unfounded.
In narcotics, there's something called fake confidence. Part of the negativity influence the mind and create an illusion. It's difficult. You see reality, but to your senses, it appears like a mirage. Yeah. You know, you look at the visit by the patriots, led by the great former Commonwealth Emeka Anyaoku, great man. What a great man! You notice, if up till date I was having chat, I tried to draw people. Look at age difference, but in use of expression, you see Anyaoku at this age more audible in his speech when compared to President Tinubu. You see him struggling to. If you ask me, those who are familiar with drug users and those who come under that influence, that's part of the symptoms.
Okay.
You see them, they struggle to make speech because they already induced that the mind is already influenced. So you see them struggling to gain some balance, you know. So clearly, we've had, of course, with due respect, I'm just struggling to avoid letting it appear as if, but of course, it's of note.
Okay.
Even the FCT minister, under his struggle with Amechi, publicly Amechi at some point said he was found almost drinking to stupor when the appeals were made. That's how he was recommended to former President Goodluck Jonathan to be accommodated rather than drinking himself out of frustration of the issues he had with I mean, publicly. I'm on air. If it's not true, people should go check the records. He made it public. And of course, he himself, in the heat of their quarrels, up till in the middle of Wike's administration, recall the infamous when he said he drinks. Amechi said he takes a drink that what's the cost of one of the primary schools he Amechi embarked on. And he in response, the now minister said yes, that he used to drink 40 years old, that he will now drink 80 years old drink. Now, and first of all, when you look at the cost of that drink, Amechi mentioned that it was equal to the cost of one of those modern primary schools. You begin to wonder the content
Albeit not being illegal, though.
Yeah, no, but the content, because your question was the influence it has. You're there to carry out public service, so you're expected to be of sound mind, so that you are able to comprehend issues before you, so you don't act out of fake confidence, so that when issues are presented before you, you can respond with very intelligent mindsets, so that people don't wonder that how come this thing that he can understand, he finds it difficult to understand, how come he uses expression at the wrong place, the wrong time, against the wrong people, you know, how come he's unable to articulate, how come he doesn't bother about public perception on the way, and we can see it still playing out.
But I don't think
so. The attitudes that are not normal, that fall short of an average intelligent mind, particularly even when you've had the conventional education. So to that extent, there is constant need, not just because it is a state election now. We can see it across boards, that this group of leaders, beyond the natural element of greed and self-serving interests, another thing we think is driving that feeling could be the user addiction to hard drugs, which actually creates that fake confidence I'm talking about, that gives the impression that I don't care what the people think, that even if I amass all the wealth they could burn, I don't care, because there is nothing in his subconscious mind that reminds him that, look, first of all, the wealth doesn't belong to you alone, it belongs to the people, and that's the essential characteristics of public leadership is accountability. So if this individual doesn't bother about this kind of values, then we may be tempted to think that outside the natural element of greed, it is actually fueled by the use of hard drugs.
Okay, but what if we also sneak in not just hard drugs, but also recommended medications, insofar as someone is coming in for a position of responsibility? We don't want that situation where a leader is always traveling abroad for medical checkup, very expensive. Do we also include medical checkups so that we ascertain the health status of any contestant or any candidate?
Clearly, these are sole responsibilities of the political parties. That's why some of us had argued that we were asking for leadership, but we should take it a step further, looking at the quality of the leader. So that includes even your health status, you know. So you don't come in with a medical history that is not sound enough, and in the middle or from even the beginning of your assumption of office, it now stands as an excuse. Exactly. You know, we used to smoking. From reports we gathered, Nigerian doctors made mistakes in diagnosing him. That mistake was what degenerated. The German doctors later found out, and that cost him, got to a point where it defiled medical science. You know, so. And these are part of what's INEC. Yeah, I don't know, the Electoral Act, like this call is making now. These are things that INEC ought to take responsibility to oversee. When you say they should monitor primaries, how political parties feel their candidates, these are part of what should be inherent in INEC's responsibility. But they turn around, they look the other ways. That's why they wouldn't know when they just limit themselves to paper qualifications, and he has had this appointment. Look at even those who even had parastatals and agencies. We've seen how many collapsing before legislative panels.
Exactly.
You know, that also like supports your suggestion of medical status.
Exactly.
So I think we should have the combination, because again, those who perhaps even take to hard drugs, that also perhaps explains the fast deteriorating state of their health. So that can also account for it. So from the beginning, there is need to check the health history of this candidate, and we must make it very essential, because once we fail to do that, the government time will be wasted on while he's on service. We have to all, you know, you need to sacrifice our well-being on the order that we need to go and we'll start rushing you for medical. So we can no longer take that, because Nigeria needs to move as fast as possible we can, especially at a time of very biting economic situation like this. We need sound minds, and like Kenneth Okonkwo had called, to have new faces. So it's very essential. But again, the fundamental question in the state, he is talking now because he's coming from opposition. The question would be, if APC was the incumbent party, would he make this call? I think I will leave that for the audience to think about.
Okay, good one. All right, let's move on to Anambra State, where the confronted with the anti-party activities of Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State, the All Progressive Grand Alliance (APGA) Board of Trustees have directed the party's National Working Committee to sanction the governor and all those engaged in anti-party activities that tend to bring the party to public ridicule. This is even as the party has expressed its unalloyed support to the leadership of Chief Edozie Njoko as its national chairman. Given this directive at a press conference in Abuja on Wednesday, Chairman Board of Trustees of APGA, Chief Chekwas Okorie, has directed APGA National Working Committee to activate the party's disciplinary machinery to sanction Governor Soludo and other members of the party found guilty of anti-party activities. The battle is long drawn, and Chukwuma Soludo is in the middle of the storm. And I used to think he is a sheep per se, that he is bringing out the fangs of a full-grown wolf in this political battle intra-party in APGA. And Chief Chekwas Okorie even had to step in and recommend punitive measures against Governor Soludo. Do you think Governor Soludo has contravened the party policies or directives to merit or to be sanctioned by the NWC, sir?
Well, at the moment, I'm not privy to what amounts to his anti-party activities. I hope that I expected that the report would have cited an instance.
Okay, I can fill you in a bit.
Yes.
Yes, because he had issues with Njoko-led as a national chairman,
yes,
of the national NWC.
Yes.
He is supporting Victor Oye.
Okay.
You get the point. And it has even reached a position where he went to even shut down Njoko's office in Anambra State in support of Victor Oye, Chief Victor Oye. So, and the national party with the BOT all pitched their tents with Njoko and are upset that their frontline governor, their only governor from their party, is not in support of the mainstream national chairman. But I think he's still in court, and there is still more to be.
If all these characters are within the same APGA, how does the element of anti-party come in?
Exactly.
You see, that's why I ask. Sometimes these guys just busy doing nothing. They will leave the opposition they ought to provide to check the excesses of the government at the center. APGA being in control of Anambra State does not mean that it should limit its concerns to Anambra State alone and its members. Regardless if they have representation at the National Assembly or not. But there is a way you try to carry on your conduct to even lobby members not comfortable as an opposition. That will make news. Not exercising, wasting energies on internal conflicts, strife on who should be superior. Because if you ask me, what I can say in summary is that is a conflict of superiority, ego, and that is part of the problem. So you see the governing party having a field day to say, these guys don't even understand their primary responsibility. They are supposed to put us on check, like all that is going on across the country now. In fact, even if you don't, the Soludo as can, if he's not comfortable with the unpopular policies of the nation, he could take them to court. It's part of your responsibility if you really care about, because injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
Yeah.
Suffering anywhere is suffering everywhere. So you don't wait for perhaps that PDP appears to dominate the opposition. Therefore, if PDP don't do it, you won't do it.
But bringing it home to PDP, we are having a governor that is having a rolling battle with his erstwhile estranged godfather. And the party has even stepped in.
That's a very peculiar instance.
Exactly.
I'm talking of the principle of oppositions.
Okay.
That from beginning, when Goodluck died, already I don't have sympathy for PDP. Yesterday I had a program somewhere. I said it's a bitter pill they must swallow. Because they created this monster, so let them contend with it. They've had their day, they've been enjoying it. The reign of impunity. As a party, you should have laid down values and rules. And every member, every genuine member who has respect for what binds your ideology must keep adhere to it. But the time came, you felt it doesn't matter. So why bothering now? So again, the principle of equity.
Are they right in asking the Minister of FCT to hand over the
manner in which they are even asking? Can't you see up to the last couple of hours? Can't you see what's playing out?
Exactly.
Called to sanction one man that has obviously demonstrated what they call anti-party, like they are trying to do to Soludo. You cannot. Let alone eventually if you return to power at the center, or what will you do? It means that you've shown that you're not ready. And that's what Nigerians must understand. If just within your own little corner, you are unable to assert authority, to uphold the rule of law governing your own values, how can we trust you? Again, haven't taken us that long route of 16 years and encourage the reign of impunity, non-accountability. To tell you the culture of everything must be tied around one. Are you not surprised? Over 7 billion was invested under that former President Goodluck. If that it was a party that believes in an ideology, why will the steam low immediately Goodluck lost the election? It was like every man to himself. Yeah. And that's why you hear now they say, oh, we came to build the party. Oh. Is that how political parties survive elsewhere? Why must everything be that, okay, Goodluck is no longer, we are no longer at the center to make things happen and share, continue to share? Is that an, in fact, I try to come in when people say ideology, I say, well, ideology all over the world should be in a positive sense. But we now have Nigerian political parties where the reign of impunity and abuse of power is their own ideology. Somebody chuckled. I said, no, I said, no, I agree. Ideology from the beginning should be in a positive sense. But in Nigerian context, it appears that what both the political class and some supporters have come to accept is making them that people could even praise the reign of impunity. Otherwise, if you also it is serious societies where serious people and serious government take seriously, you can't hear one man sustaining a party. From where do you get the funds? You must explain. Because the rule says that every member must contribute equally. So in the end, otherwise, we can no longer call it a political party. It means that we're under a despot or a dictator or a tyrant. Because that suppresses the primary element of a democratic system that encourages popular participation. So if you keep referring to, he brought the, you keep making it singular, then clearly you are saying that it is not a democratic system we are experimenting. And for me, that doesn't make sense. It's really insults our intelligence and sensibility, you know. So in his case, or those cases, it's difficult to actually lay fingers on what has amounted to anti-party. That's like working against the interest of your own party, and obviously you've been seen trying to protect the interest of another party to the detriment of your own party. So if there is no evidence to that effect, I doubt if the claim or allegations of anti-party will suffice or be sustained. Except we're in the dark. We don't know if there are obvious facts.
But there is a recurring theme, either in Anambra State or in River State. The despotic nature or the dictatorial nature or the overbearing nature of the governors in party politics. Is it real? Or
of course, it's a mistake why I said they created the monster. Like now you can see supporters of me say, oh, it's not concerned that the incumbent should be the leader of the party. Now it has turned around. They say it's a tradition. They now say it's a tradition. When it was him, it was correct. It was like the rule. You see the problem? People probating and reprobating. Now that's why from the beginning, that's why you see Zuma was dealt with the way. Because the characteristic of the party is that it is supreme above the individual. Even elected official, you're subject to the party. Right? Don't you see? That's why the INEC rule will say, like the constitution will say, you must be sponsored by the party, which is like making this popular section we are quoting now, that when lawmakers make the mistake of defecting. The position of the party counts, reigns supreme. Now, when it gets to the governor, because like I have said, without any apology, it is the mentality that because the governors are privileged to the public treasury, so they now say assume the leader of the party, which is an aberration. That the party mechanism or organism, here you have a chairman, ought to be supreme. That chairman is the one that is supposed to be seen as the leader of the party. By rules, in principle and in practice. But the mentality here, they came to accept a culture that, that is why you find over years, since our 24 years of democratic experience, the governors now determine who rises from councillor to local government chairman, even going as senator, that promotes and encourage popular participation. In the first place, every member of the party must be seen equal. Nobody more, everything must not be tied around one man. More importantly, that what is the resource background, what's the financial background of that one man? Where is he getting the fund from? And of course, Nigeria is the only place nobody knows even the salaries of governors. Exactly. You spend anyhow without accountability, even when the people can clearly see it. Already from beginning, the governor has masculated the legislative, so you find everything is correct against Montesquieu principle of separation of powers. Exactly. So why would the governor say, I go and donate this here, I give this one here? Was it appropriated for? These are fundamental democratic questions, participatory questions. The electors and the citizens ought to have a legal social right to ask the leadership. But we tolerated it all these years. It is that erroneous and mistaken tolerance that has got to this very difficult situation. Why now you find shades of interpretation, and the people themselves, perhaps may be very gullible ones. When you hear us talk like this, they wonder whether it is true that they have such rights. Because for these 24 years, they made it that the governors appear to be demigods. In other words, the public treasury is an exclusive right to them, even when they clearly see that one governor comes and goes. So you begin to wonder what has happened to our subconscious intelligence. So if it is clear that it is not his father's family inheritance, to the treasury, I'm not accountable to any of you. I will use the resources to influence what I want and determine what I want. So the people too who are products of that process in turn see themselves not to be accountable to the people. For example, you don't see lawmakers going to have town hall meetings where they, but that also violates section 14 sub 2 of the constitution that talks about sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom the constitution derives its power and the government derives its authority. So how else, now how will the people exercise that provision? It is only when they are seen in the process of planning and execution of government programs and policies. And in what circumstance will they be seen? Merely in a democratic society through the legislature rather, where you come, have an interface, have deliberations, and resolutions. And you go back to the floor and say, look, my people have mandated me, I represent the good people of XYZ. That's how the circumstance that shows that the people are participating. Eventually, even if there's a security bill that runs contrary to the popular will and special of the people, they also have a right to call the lawmakers and say, look, tell the governor, we don't accept this policy. It's anti-people. It doesn't support our socioeconomic growth. But over there, we don't see that kind of practice. Yes. In fact, in UK, if you're not seeing, they call it clinics. If you're not seeing interfacing with the people, interacting, deliberating and debating, this thing you call season allowance here, that some of them, if you take the national television, you see the seats vacant. Like I try to comic it, you see them busy in hotel with daughters of Eve who are, in my view, are the members of their constituency. To make it a little comic. Then when any day they wake up from the slumber, they come back, and if it's at the Senate, the president say, those who say hi, they say hi, I concur. When you've not made any deliberation on behalf of, for example, look at some senators has over 8-10 LGAs under them. For example, with that, look at, don't even go to Kano, 44 LGAs. So in Kano now, one senator has close to over 12 LGAs under him. One there is bigger than the Bayelsa State. In Akwa Ibom, one senator is bigger than Bayelsa State governor. There is no media report anywhere. So all this is because erroneously they have thought that the governors because they are privileged to the treasury. Then governor in turn too, if you're having difficulty with the central government, if there is no culture of him, naturally we should see lawmakers from that state coming to interact with the governor. To say, look at this national policy, look at this national program. What is your view? Does it favor the economic advantage or disadvantage of our state?
Yes.
That is how you know that the people are participating. But because we have carried on, particularly PDP is guilty of this. And that, like many had argued, it's difficult to divorce APC characteristics from PDP. Because their guiding ideology is that, first of all, they see self-interest, no respect for the rule of law. They will have to
Ayedatwa's endorsement to manage all security activities in the state. However, this claim was denied by Benga Alba, the senior special assistant to the governor on security matters, who stated that the company was only tasked with enumerating farmers, and in response, Governor Ayedatiwa dismissed the allegations as baseless, accusing the PDP of attempting to tarnish the reputation and distract from his achievements. A statement from the APC spokesperson, Steve Olatoro, confirmed Ayedatiwa's commitment to peace and security in Ondo State. Now, we are seeing Ayedatiwa of Ondo being accused of hiring a security firm to rig the upcoming Guba elections by the PDP. The PDP is making these accusations, and but the security firm per se says that they are in charge of farmers' security and welfare. But the PDP is saying that why should they be contracted just before
the elections?
The elections.
High suspicion.
Exactly, sir.
Of course, because once that happens, there is the perception. It suggests that you suffer illegitimacy, and when a government lacks the issue of legitimacy, it's catastrophic. It leads to a whole lot of antisocial activities, a whole lot of underdevelopment, because there is no way the people will find it difficult to support you. So in turn, they will also be doing everything to frustrate any effort you put forward, because from the beginning, you were never their choice.
Oh, sir, this calls to question also, because I think the NEC also gave 4 states, although unnamed, 4 states have been asked by the National Executive Council to hasten up in their recommendations concerning state police.
Yes.
And I know that one of the tricky sections of not accepting state police was because of the maluse, the abuse.
Let me quickly correct
by
that.
the governors.
Now we don't have what we've had national police. Has it not been abused by governors? Where are the people that mobilize resources during the day? They are the governors. We are in River State here. The facts are before all of us. That impression is wrong. It's hasty.
Okay.
That is unfounded. If those who keep whipping up that thing is, for me, is very lame.
So the governors...
It's lame because currently they are not called state police. But in practical sense, we see the governors manipulate them, even to the extent of state INEC commissioners. So it is not a question that till the structure changes that the command leaves the IG as it present is right now. It's a matter of, if we're people, that's why I keep supporting what the Patriots submit to Tinubu, mainly at the verge of the 10 days protest, to say call for a constitutional assembly. Yeah. If that happens, these are part of what will be debated. Eventually, if you want to have a state police, it's a matter of law. You bring minds that can define clear and limitations. We have not, that's why we keep saying that, Rotimi, the Lord bless him, have said that the preamble told a lie against itself. When the preamble says, we the people of Nigeria. So, what can address the state police is that we the people needs to sit down and clearly define the powers of the state police, the limitations of the governors, the funding of the police, like it is done in other federal systems. Like it is state assembly that even prepare the funds for the state police. You have county police in this case, which you can call council police, which is the local government level. You have the councillors prepare the budget for the council police. Same with higher institutions can have their own police. So if you define it clearly and in practice you find a governor trying to act beyond his powers, you spell out the consequences, whether impunity or not. Sorry, what do you call that thing that prevents them from criminal trial? Immunity. In fact, we are coming close to where we must do away with that even immunity clause, because we can see that the abuse is unforgivable. Because what gain do we stand to get? A governor realizes that because there is immunity, he goes ahead to do things that cost people's life. That unfortunately, of course, after he's expected to be prosecuted, but because they are all involved, like a merry-go-round, so the matter dies off. Relevant agencies will turn a blind eye, like they don't know that there was a prima facie case against certain governors when they were in power. So I don't really subscribe that it's because the state governors were abused. I maintain my argument that currently they are not called state police, but in practice we see. That's why they hurriedly go to say, I support with so many cars, I give you this, I give you that. What is this police service commission? What is their job during national budget presentation? Don't the national budget provide adequate for to take care of police logistics? I keep reminding us of Tafawa Balogun with due respect to his memory. Yeah. They don't want to let him or passenger for whatever succeeded in prosecuting him. Exactly. During that his trial, but the charges were read to the extent that Tafawa Balogun consumed police money to the extent of monies to buy them stockings and singlets. So from the beginning, this is a part of aberration where you have state governors going to, it's not your duty. So because it will smack off the element of favoritism. To say, okay, anytime I call the CP, he will do my bidding. But in other words, because to avoid that interference and favoritism and nepotism, the rules, the responsibilities are spelled out. You don't go beyond your powers. You don't come under the guise that, okay, because the police lack this. We will question what happens to the national budget. Exactly. So if we come to the, now you can see with that now people hide under the guise they want to, just like here at the point they say local government election, somebody say he's sharing farm implements. It was for farm implements. When there was suspicion, was like it was to defend himself against aggressors. So the same thing in Ondo State now. The man says, okay, he must have noticed that the people tend not to like me. Okay, let me hide under the guise of providing security for farmers. When actually it is to either make away with the ballot boxes and in collaboration with even the conventional agencies. So what we are arguing is that we've not seen INEC exercise much of its constitutional responsibilities. How do these people conduct their primaries? It's one of the key democratic institutions. INEC has been sleeping on its responsibility to that regard. Because if INEC has actually asserted authority, let me really evaluate how did these guys, we've seen situations where party primaries, you don't see delegates, incumbent governors manipulate the list when it should actually be a product from the people. Nobody knows them till 11th hour, they just appear at the venue. And all you hear is that the primary is done and dusted. Usually in other organized democracy, INEC will be able to give reports to say this was how they were funded, these are the conditions how they were screened, this was the challenge of certain delegates, you don't hear those kind of reports. It's very, very sad and disappointing. So what is all this? But election after election, we have very humongous amount budgeted for INEC to do what? To rather even aid in collaborating this manipulation of electioneering processes, when actually it is to evaluate the quality and quantity of aspirants and the processes that throw them up. We don't see those kind of reports.
We're having an issue here with even elected lawmakers that I wanted us to, because you made a comment concerning the lawmakers not even going for sittings.
Clearly.
And there was a report that just came out, the performance report by the Order Paper, Nigeria's parliamentary monitoring organization, has revealed that 15 senators and 149 members of the House of Representatives did not sponsor any bills in the first year of the 10th National Assembly. I'll just pause there. I want your reaction, sir.
Well, it's obvious. That's not a surprise news. It's unfortunate that members of their various legislative constituencies do not understand their rights. They think it begins and ends the day they go to cast their vote, when actually it's after casting their vote that places greater responsibility on them, the electorates. So, like I submitted in my earlier expressions,
exactly,
the constitutional need to return and be seen in what we call your constituency office,
yes,
interacting and engaging to really prove that the power is drawn from the people. You know, it is from that engagement you are better placed to sponsor the bills that actually captures the agenda. But because you don't do that,
exactly. So
how can you give what you don't have? You're a senator, you spend more time in hotels in Abuja, whereas you don't know that it is time to step down environmental laws, that where you come from has oil wells. The oil companies, the idea that somebody called Minister of Environment is no longer working. In 1999 in Norway, the lawmakers assembly had debates and realized that the law can no longer reside with the federal level. They need to step it down to the extent where a local government chairman can assert authority against a company that has created environmental degradation and plundering. So here, before you wait for federal agencies, evidence must have been destroyed. Either you target sabotage, you know, and the community is left to their fate. So the next thing you hear, we no go gree, or we no go gree, they deploy occupational force to shoot the people back to their houses. So now you've passed Petroleum IPIA Act. You went to settle for the infamous 2%. And right now, nobody knows the quantity of oil you drew from the innocent community. So how do you even work out the 2%?
Exactly.
Is it not something you, as a lawmaker, needs to come and protect them? The law provides that they should have a trust, a developmental trust. Do you know, Ray, since what year now, 2018, there is no report anywhere that any of these oil and gas companies now have a developmental trust. Like I made submissions, my memorandum got to the National Assembly.
Okay.
And part of the argument was that in Shetland Island Council, the North Sea Aberdeen, you don't put all the developments in one name. For example, you just say development trust. That same body does education, does health, does housing. No. They made it easier so that to even accommodate more people, so nobody feels, I need a job, but chairman say no space. No. You can have development trust on environment. You gather a team of young men and women. Development trust on education. Development trust on this. Now it will require the lawmaker to understand, and if it was not captured as the act couched, you go back and raise a debate to say, this is what I got from people. I realize that this is the best way they can effectively participate to their benefit, and you sponsor it. Now, like the Patriots are calling for a referendum. Yes. We are a democracy without referendum. That's an aberration. Plebiscite. That's one of the key characteristics of a democratic society.
Are we going to have a referendum?
But that is part of your job as my senator. It is long overdue. That is like a bedrock. It goes a long way to resolve all manner of conflicts you can think of within the Nigerian political economy. That for once, the people should have a right, rather than taking to arms and resort to self-help.
The National Convention during Goodluck Jonathan's time, what is it implemented? Fundamentally,
what is missing, that's why Emeka Yanko and his team, the Pedro, used the word, say, send an executive bill and let us have a constitutional assembly. That thing the people find difficult to interpret, called Sovereign National Conference. Exactly. The phrase sovereign is what gives it a legal bite. So that whatever that is debated and the resolutions reached can be implemented. Okay. But when you leave at it, just mere social gathering and talk, it becomes difficult. So to correct that, that's another expression the Patriots have used. That let's have a constitutional assembly, but it will not have a legal bite. When the president sends and secretary, you can see the haste in which he sent, bringing back the old national anthem. But that day you saw his very lame response. He said he's trying to work on economic reform. How can he work on economic reform when the country stand on a tripod, like Zekome pointed out the other day? Exactly. And anything stand on a tripod, 3 legs, cannot succeed, cannot stand properly. So it's urgent that is what these lawmakers ought to be doing. If they've been doing that, we would have reduced the socioeconomic strife, this depression, perhaps up to 70%. But they're not doing their job. And that's essentially why they are sent there. To go and review obnoxious federal laws that has incapacitated the component states and even, in turn, the local governments within the states. What are some of those federal laws that no longer favor? Look at, for example, if I want to embark on a fishing trawling job, I will have to wait for the Minister of Agriculture to give me a license. That's anti-people. That's anti-economic. As simple as that kind of license, I should be able to, in a federal system, I should be able to obtain it from the state. These are the kind of affairs that the component state should be able to decide for itself. And yes, my senator, if you don't understand it, return home. Let me engage you and tell you that, because you don't understand it. So I'm saying that, look, Mr. Senator, I can't invest in trawler because the bottleneck, the logistics of him going to Abuja, spend hotel for days before the minister takes it, is too difficult for me. So while you are representing me, is that, look, we have realized that our law is not fair. We want to invest. We are fishermen. We want to go. Right now, we can no longer fish by the riverside. Pollution has sent out all the fish. That was either go around Creek Road, they can't afford fish. Therefore, go and sponsor this bill and change this federal policy that says that it is the Federal Minister of Agriculture that will give me license. Let me begin to take it from the state or obtain it from the state. So the people must understand that the participation, good governance, dividend of democracy does not begin and end the day you cast your vote. It rather places greater responsibility on you, immediately after you cast your vote, to daily interrogate the manner in which public officers, particularly lawmakers, carry on their conducts, either in private or public, whether it runs contrary to your aspirations and yearnings. The people just feel that it is a birthright. And again, don't forget, it's because these lawmakers in turn feel that because the governors sponsor them, therefore they don't owe the majority of the people that come from their different constituencies any duty, which is an aberration and very unconstitutional, because it violates section 14 sub 2 that talks about sovereignty belongs to the people, from where the constitution derives its power and the government which they represent derives its authority. So if the man you draw the strength from does not have any space to participate, you are even guilty. Exactly. We should hold you responsible. You know, it is time to